Hey, welcome on in, you rascals. Tobin here with you, and thanks for checking out the channel. Hope everybody's doing lovely on this Friday night as the Miami Heat are getting set for the Atlanta Hawks. That'll be an afternoon tip-off, as I saw a little dunk show that the team put out. Admin had tweeted out the dunk show between Keyshawn Johnson and Kaloa. Hey, those guys, they could put on some dunks. That was a fun watch. And Miami, of course, won a couple in a row. They've started to work their way back up after hitting what was absolutely rock bottom. Boy wonder with a big all-star shot for himself. But, of course, the big question was Jimmy Butler going to be available for the remainder of this road trip? Remember that he has been working his way back, getting back into conditioning for what supposedly was going to be a rejoin on the rest of the road trip, and everybody's like, oh, well, you know, he's expected. This is the word we keep hearing. The Heat keep putting out this term to the reporters. It's expected, which is an interesting word to put there with it. It's expected that he's going to rejoin the team on the road trip, or that it's expected he's going to be with the team in Atlanta. And then meanwhile, later today, it was not only ruled out that he was not with the team and did not make the trip to Atlanta, but and I was kind of like, all right, let's see where this goes. And people were, it was, what do you think about this? Because it's like as the Jimmy Butler saga turns every single day with this, and I'm like, all right, let's wait a little bit more. Let's see what the fallout of this is. Maybe he does join the team, and then hours later, officially, nope, Jimmy Butler will miss 2 more games. And now the expectation is that he's going to join the team when they're home, and they'll be home after this game on Sunday against the Rockets. They got the Hawks and Rockets on this road trip, and the expectation is that he'll return then, and so that'll put Jimmy Butler's total missed games at a total of 10 on a 30-game season. So we would be officially out a third of the season thus far, and look, I think you guys have known. I hate that I have to put this caveat on all this stuff. I don't like questioning people's health, and I don't like questioning people's severity of illness. I just want to say the entire time it has been simply sketchy from the get-go of it being called an illness, simply because when he officially went out the first time, everybody in the arena saw that he hurt his ankle, which has obviously been a critical problem for him. He's had a lot of ankle issues in his career. So when everybody was like coming out there and being like, oh, no, he came to the arena with an illness, but then was just out. All right, well, you got yourself up to play. Cool. And then you look like you hurt yourself. And then it was just like, no, Jimmy was sick the whole time. Just that alone is a little strange. All right. Let's just say nobody's faking it. Nobody's playing this up a little bit just because of a standoff or we all saw the guy hurt his ankle. Anybody who watched the game, either you're in the building, you're watching on TV, we all saw he turned his ankle and looked pretty bad, dude. It didn't look like a good one. And then it was said, nah, sick. And then, of course, he misses the next couple of games. He's still sick. And the team is looking around, all right, what are we going to do here? We got a road trip coming up. Nothing, because now we got a big Shams report in the middle of it. And, he has to condition himself, get back into conditioning to get himself ready to play again. All right. Strange. And then another thing that's a little bit strange about this with the Jimmy Butler saga, typically when Jimmy Butler gets to the point where he's gearing up to come back, this is a man who's very active on social media. He gives us a very specific window into his life, how he wants to portray it. It's pretty much been radio silent outside of some Big Face Coffee stuff and the typical 3 songs that he posts. But we haven't gotten any look into the world that is Jimmy Butler right now. You have reports. I know it's been reported by, by Ira and Anthony. Flu-like symptoms, legitimately sick, people are saying around the team. I know Ethan Skolnick reported that he's gotten fluids, he's gotten IVs for it. Okay, if you guys say so. I will say the Miami Heat, when it comes to injury clarity or ailment clarity, not exactly the most transparent team in the world. And it's just tough not to raise a skeptical eye at all of this stuff, especially now because you have the Pat Riley statement. And obviously that got a lot of buzz, and the question was going to be, when everybody was like, well, everybody was sitting here and giving middle fingers to Shams and saying kick rock Shams and all. And I get you. All right. You guys want to, say that that's the final bell on this thing. And I am here to tell you that a part of the reason I did not think of that, even though it was awesome by Pat Riley, it was good of him to do his, Godfather thing via Twitter. It still isn't really clarified until Jimmy Butler gets back on the court. And that's the problem with all of this, is like, all right, cool. The Miami Heat say they're not trading Jimmy Butler. I believe them. I believe they're dug in. Their intention is not to trade Jimmy Butler. I don't know where Jimmy Butler is at with all this because, it was reported that he did not like that the rumors were all denied and all this. And I guess that the rumors aren't really denied with the Pat Riley statement either. He's just saying flatly, we're not trading Jimmy Butler. So there's that. But, man, I will say this whole thing is really not going anywhere until 22's back on the court. And if we're now kicking the can on this, I suppose the question is, okay, let's say they have a practice on Tuesday. Will he show up to that? Is he going to practice, or is he still going to condition just to practice? Because guys will still even show up to practice and not practice the whole practice. Is he going to be at that? Then they have a back-to-back. Is he going to play 1, 2? Or are they going to say, shouldn't play back-to-back, shouldn't play both? Like, when is the time that is going to feel like is the appropriate time? They expect him back. When does Jimmy expect to be back? When does he expect to, I guess finish this reconditioning that, look, it's tough not to have all this noise surrounding it feel like this feels like a holdout. It feels like a holdout. Maybe it's not a holdout, and maybe it's just speculation from doofuses like me, but it smells like a holdout, it feels like a holdout, and it looks like a holdout right now. Because all we've been told is, yeah, the guy's been sick. Okay. He's been sick. He's obviously got to be very sick to miss a week of work. How many of you, how sick are you when you miss a week? You're pretty damn sick. And then he needs another plus week to get back into shape to work. Okay. I'm trying to think, this year, that happened to Jaime, right? How many games did Jaime miss when he got sick? And then he needed to recondition. It was 2 games off, and then was it another game to recondition, and then Jaime was back? Yeah, when Jaime got sick in Mexico, they had the Mexico City game, comes back, he's not with the team, didn't play 2 more games, and then came back 8 days later. So, yeah, a week. He was out a week. Jimmy hasn't, apparently got sick. Let's just say on the 20th. All right, let's say. So he's been sick on the 20th. He's not been with the team for 2 days. Now hasn't played. So we're 6 days. Tomorrow's 7 days. 8 days on Sunday. 9 days will be Monday. So we're going on 10 days if they have a practice on Tuesday. If that's not enough time to get back from sickness and reconditioning, then what is? So I'm not calling anybody a liar. I don't like doing that, but I'm just letting everybody, all parties that be, know. Okay? I don't like to do this stuff flippantly. I don't like to just make it sound like everybody's making it up or covering something up. But you guys can all understand why we all feel this way, right? I just want, you guys all know. Jimmy's reps, Pat, Spo, the team, the media, fans. we all can acknowledge that it doesn't look great, right? And, look, I've been a big defender of Jimmy Butler. I think everybody who watches my coverage, listens to my radio show, knows my entire stance the entire time has been give Jimmy Butler his money. He deserves it. I'm a big Jimmy Butler fan, one of the best players ever in franchise history. I wanted the Miami Heat to take care of him. However, let's just say he is sick. On top of having an ankle injury, missing a third of the games, and this, missing a third of the games on top of a couple of games where Jimmy just didn't look like he was physically all the way there. You're kind of making the Heat's point of why they don't want to invest in the guy long term. Like, reward contracts, feel-good contracts, like that is pretty much what the Heat are doing if they're signing up to give Jimmy Butler $60 million at the age of 37. Because at age 34 and age 35, the guy has been missing a lot of games. And that is just the facts of it. I'm not here to, because my stance has remained for him, but you cannot say that Jimmy Butler missing all this action is not really making Pat Riley's point for him when he came out with all of this. And if this is a play by Jimmy to go out there and force the Heat's hand to get a trade, man, I think it's a bad look for Jimmy if that is what he's doing. I don't know that's what he's doing, but I'm just saying it would be a bad look because extension, no extension, the dude is signed up this year and his team is in a fight for the Eastern Conference. And, that's why it's this whole thing is becoming a little bit messy, and you hope that's not the case, because that wouldn't be a great look. And that's on top of the idea that you're already missing games, which was Pat Riley's concern from the get-go. But the other thing that's weird about this, though, that everybody's kind of veering off to, because everybody's pissed. Everybody's pissed about a situation because breakups are hard. But I don't really understand with all of this. I don't understand how this has turned into a pissing contest about the Heat haven't done enough for Jimmy Butler and the Heat haven't gotten Jimmy Butler enough help. I don't really understand why that's part of the discussion or part of the whole debate about all of this. Like, this was like all of the debate today on social media, and I'm just kind of like taken aback by why is this even a question right now? Like, Jimmy Butler doesn't give a rat's ass right now about the Heat getting him more help. Jimmy Butler cares because the Heat haven't paid him what he thinks he's worth. Like, the Miami Heat today could go trade for Giannis Antetokounmpo, but if they don't extend Jimmy Butler, the same issue is there. I don't think the Miami Heat are in this position because they didn't get Jimmy Butler enough help. There are certainly bad moves the Miami Heat have made in the Jimmy Butler era. There were good moves they made in the Jimmy Butler era. The first year in the finals run, Deion Waiters and Justice Winslow and James Johnson, they flipped into Andre Iguodala, Jay Crowder. Home run trade helped the Miami Heat get to the finals. There are awful deals that they made, like trying to think the next year that Trevor Ariza was going to be a thing. And then you think about the year after that, they're going and getting you Kyle Lowry and they're getting you PJ Tucker to supplement. Great moves. But then there were years there where, hey, the Miami Heat took some criticism because they didn't want to pay PJ Tucker as many years. And now PJ Tucker doesn't even play basketball anymore because, look, in that third year, he's not there anymore. The Clippers and him are having a pretty awkward breakup. The worst move the Miami Heat by far have made in all of this is not being able to land Damian Lillard, because it kind of felt like it just cast a cloud over last year, and then trying to supplement that by getting Terry Rozier last year and giving up a first-round pick. To me, that is going to go down as the all-time pivot point of when you thought this thing actually had a chance to win, and then when it was you're more than treading water and starting to feel like you have an anchor on you. But I don't understand why this has become the debate all of a sudden, is why are the Heat keeping Jimmy here? They haven't done enough by him. They should have traded him. They failed him. And I don't think Jimmy cares about any of that stuff. Right now, Jimmy Butler is pissed because he wants to get his money. Why do you think that the teams that Jimmy Butler wants to go to, you could say, oh, well, if you team him with Kevin Durant, he's absolutely going to be a title contender, even though they're a floundering 500 team, just like the Heat are. or the Golden State Warriors, who look nowhere near. Why do you think Jimmy Butler wants to go to those teams? Do you think because they're actually title contenders as the national media wants to portray it? Or it's because they have rich, crazy owners who will spend whatever it is and will spend him the money that makes him happy? Like, what do you think it is? Like, why do you think those are the teams that Jimmy Butler has out there, or Jimmy Butler's people have out there with Shams Charania? Why? Because they have owners who are a little bit crazy and will spend the dough and will give him his extension. That's the whole point of it. If the Miami Heat went out there today and were able to get Damian Lillard on their team, do you think that it solves everything that the Miami Heat are going through? Like, do you think Jimmy Butler just honestly says, out of all this, we got Dame, or let's just say they were able to get, just say with Jimmy here, let's say that he were able to get De'Aaron Fox, or like I said, just make it Greek Freak, whoever, and you're like, wow, now the Miami Heat are amongst the best in the East. But they're not going to pay Jimmy Butler. Do you think all of this stuff goes away? So I'm just kind of confused as to why that has become the dialogue with all of this. Of course the Miami Heat didn't get over the finish line last year. They lost the fight last year. They lost. They were right there neck and neck with their rivals in Boston. Beat them sometimes, lost to them another. And then whatever the reasons are, the Heat failed to get Damian Lillard. And he ended up with one team that they bounced. And because he ended up there, their other rivals ended up with a better point guard in Drew Holiday. The fight was over. They lost. That's it. And the whole year had a dark cloud over it. And Tyler Hero was hurt. And Jimmy Butler told us all last year, because maybe he thought he could summon the powers of the universe, and told us all, it's that time, and it never was that time again. He ends up getting hurt in the play-in game. The Miami Heat were sunk in what was an awful, awful year last year, where it was just like treading the whole time. Don't worry, it's going to be that time. But no, that time never came. So ultimately, forgetting about the past and looking forward to where the Heat are right now with this, is this over yet? No, because it's not over until Jimmy Butler shows up for work and is able to play basketball. Until he shows that he is willing to do that for the Miami Heat, Pat Riley can put out as many statements as he wants. The Heat can sweep it under the rug and say they expect him there as many days in a row as they want. But until they see him in a Heat uniform, and the Heat fan and the Heat media and their teammates see him in a Heat uniform, ready to go start helping them win games again, this remains a thing. It does. And I apologize to anybody who thinks I'm being a skeptical rat bastard about that, and that I am prying on something that may be true, that he is sick and has been sick, and that he's been so sick that he needs over a week to recondition himself back to play basketball. If that is the case, I apologize in advance to everybody involved. However, you're going to have a hard time making anybody believe that while all of this has gone on, that also the trade noise around him has gotten louder than it ever has been, that the president of the organization had to have a brash statement telling everybody, we're not trading Jimmy Butler. And he's still not there with the team to play basketball. Forgive me, everybody, when I'm just telling you, I got a little bit of an eyebrow raised at it. Doesn't exactly smell, look, or sound right to me. And I'm going to remain pessimistically, that's not a word, I'm going to remain very, very skeptical about all this until there's an actual resolution and he's back playing on a court for the Miami Heat. Because, look, even I saw crazy theories this week, maybe his ankle really is hurt, and this is all a cover-up for his ankle on trade value, either from his side or the Heat side. I don't know. That's as good as an explanation as I can understand, other than well, he's just not, he doesn't feel like working for the Heat anymore, which would be kind of a lousy thing to do. All the things about, well, they didn't do this. You still show up for work. You're supposed, that's the bare minimum, especially as a max basketball player. You show up. You don't leave your teammates hanging dry if you can play. So I hate to believe that's the case. I wouldn't love that. As a guy who has gone to bat for Jimmy, and I think this whole ordeal, I've had his side on this, and have understood. Yeah, I kind of knew this was heading this direction, and you knew, especially when Bam got his money, and Bam got his max extension. Bam is, kind of the Heat teacher's pet of he gets the big dough, no questions asked. He was the available one, only guy who really wasn't ripped by Pat Riley in the press conference. And Jimmy Butler took all of the heat, even though he also was called the biggest needle mover by Pat Riley in that press conference, but did take the brunt of the criticism. We're now at a point where he's like, he got paid, I don't get paid. And they say, age, schmage. I don't think that was what his argument was, but that's kind of where we're at right now in all of this. And it just feels, it just feels unresolved right now. It feels unresolved. And the thing that sucks the most about it, honestly, just from a current team standpoint, is, okay, the Heat didn't get Damian Lillard, and they didn't get Spida, and they didn't get Kyrie Irving, and they didn't get Kevin Durant. But through all of this, one of the things that we have been waiting for is the ascendance of Tyler Hero. And Tyler Hero is playing like an all-star. And it would be nice to see Bam, who's, I think having a down season, but has been as reliable, and that he's going to play big playoff minutes, and he's going to be effective. But Bam, Jimmy, and Tyler Hero playing like this, where can it go? Where can it go? We've never gotten an answer for that. We haven't had that. And that's the unfortunate thing, because through all the muck that the Heat have been dealing with and trying or not doing enough to get whomever for Jimmy, the question mark has always been Tyler Hero. And is Tyler going to be good enough? Well, now he appears to be there. And Jimmy and Tyler the other day, was it weeks ago, where they're arguing, Spo, who's 1A, who's 1B? Having a good time. Where is that vibe? That wasn't that long ago, baby. So I would like to see that through.
I beat you at one-on-one in training camp, so don't talk to me.
Don't say one of them. It's either one or...
Spo, who's 1A?
Who's 1B?
My boy.
I know I sound like a loser. I know I sound like somebody who's like trying to find the bright spots in all of this and hoping that everybody can kumbaya and get along and we can have just one last run, one last dance. And it doesn't feel that way right now. But, from my standpoint, I don't know. I don't know if the Heat buckle on this. I don't know, I've rambled a lot on this video, so I'll try to put a bow on it. But, let's just say that the Heat are in a situation where Jimmy is in a standoff. He's like, oh, you're not trading me? Cool statement, Pat. I got the not feeling like playing basketball flu. Man, listen, the Heat have been in some unforeseen circumstances before. With Zoe, with Chris Bosh. They've been in standoffs recently with Hassan Whiteside and Deion Waiters and James Johnson. Probably even in that first Jimmy Butler to the Heat's detriment on certain games, where they maybe could have used them a little bit more. Even with Kyle a little bit. With, remember coming into last year, there was a whole debate. Is Kyle going to be the starting point guard? Honestly, so much that they probably panicked and way overpaid to get him out the door. Probably the biggest mistake of the Jimmy Butler era was attaching a first-round pick just to get an expiring deal out the door. I've never seen something so stupid. But we're here now. And I do think the Heat are true to their resolve. I don't think that they're going to be bullied into anything. And Jimmy Butler, I think, has wanted to go this whole way. He doesn't want to go full T-Wolves on anybody. He doesn't want to, lay waste and burn all bridges. I think that he does have a level of respect for the Heat, but also is pissed he didn't get paid. And now we need to know, okay, when does all this come to an end, and when does he actually show up to work? When does he show up to ball again? And I don't have an answer for that, because all I keep getting is he's expected to come back. He's had the flu and he's reconditioning. We expect him back. And then we just keep punting on the days, and the DNPs just keep piling up. So I'll just be waiting. I'll be waiting with open arms, because I like watching Jimmy Butler play basketball. I especially like watching him play basketball for the Miami Heat, and I would like to see that again. And well, right now it just doesn't feel like there's any. This doesn't feel like there's any end in sight. They could say that all they want, but it doesn't. They said that 24 hours ago, and here we are. So we'll see.